I've had kids failing in school before they get to us. They're great in school now. I've had kids bad behavior before they get to us. They listen to mommy and daddy and teachers now. We keep kids that are running the ball conservatively weighted so that they're not bullying everybody else. We manage football from Santa Barbara all the way over to Santa Clarita. And every single year since 2021.
Welcome, Antonio Skeeters, to The Young Athletic. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. You are the president of the Gold Coast Youth Football League.
Yep, that is I.
How's that going?
The job or the league?
Let's start with the job. When did you become president?
You know what? A couple weeks ago, actually. So the funny thing is, I've been on the board for a while.
Okay.
But currently, right this very moment, I'm the interim president. I was the VP for the past 2 years, and basically they moved me into the interim spot and then nominated me for the presidency. So my term begins all of 2026.
So you are officially the president?
I am officially the president. Yeah.
Awesome.
Being the VP has its own challenges. To be honest, I've been on other boards. I've never looked at my title. I think I work the same no matter what my title is. I don't know if that's good or bad at the end of the day, because sometimes I want to leave the board and I get stuck. But it's at the end of the day, the end result is what I'm there for. So being the president of the league is it comes with challenges. It's great though, because like what we're in the mission for is really for the youth.
Yeah.
Running the league is different from a chapter. So there's a lot of personalities, a lot of different missions involved, and we try to serve the community base, right? Like that's really all we do. We're the league. You guys manage what you manage, and we'll manage the league for you guys, give the kids a place to play. So the job's great. It's a challenge involved, but I feel I'm qualified for it. Others feel I'm qualified for it, and I'm looking forward to, whatever we can put on the agenda for the year.
Well, congratulations.
I appreciate it.
First question. I know football's a very physical game, a lot of contact.
Yes, it is.
How do you keep all these kids safe?
Pads, helmet, right? The equipment for the game. Football's a violent sport on purpose. We try not to take that out of the sport. We tell kids you got to be violent, you got to be aggressive. And we even tell the parents during meetings, like, stop telling them to calm down. Tell them save it for practice. Tell them take it to the field. Tell them take it outside, but stop saying calm down. Stop hitting. Don't do those things. We're teaching that. So it's counterproductive. The way we keep them safe, in our league, every coach has to be certified. So physically, mentally, and emotionally safe is part of safe for us, and that's important. On the field, it's really about proper training. And so we have to make sure that our coaches receive that proper training first. And we do that with a partnership with USA Football. They're entwined with the Olympic Committee for bringing flag to the Olympics. They're entwined with NFL. And it's no longer called heads up football. Now it's just how we teach the game, but there was a shift back in I think 2015, 2016 to teach heads up football. When I learned how to play football, it was take the stamp, take this right L and put it in his numbers. That was what the coach taught us. We don't teach that anymore.
Yeah.
We teach take the head away from the body, use your shoulder, leverage. There's a lot of technique involved, and we teach that from the youngest level all the way through the oldest level. And we make sure that that's the information, the foundation, the skills that those coaches have. And then we make sure that our referees are enforcing anything contrary to that, right? Like the dangerous hits, the player who's defenseless, all those are already rules, but we really focus on the technique of the tackle and making sure our coaches teach that.
So the technique of tackling has changed over the years.
Technique of tackling has totally changed. Yeah. You know who does it best that you can watch on a regular basis in the pros is Seattle.
Yeah?
Yeah. Their technique is really what brought in this whole learning curve of heads up football. And it's about leverage. It's about the lead foot being involved as opposed to just getting in the way and having that impact. It's tracking certain body parts, and then when you're there for the contact, it's cheek to cheek, right?
Yeah.
If I'm low enough, that means my cheek to your butt cheek. If I'm high enough, then it means that my face cheek to your cheek. But it's cheek to cheek, not face to face or into the body. There's a lot of leverage and how you wrap and roll, but we teach it. And Yeah, football's different, man. It's safe. It's a lot safer than it was when I learned how to play.
Yeah.
It's a lot safer than when that movie Concussion came out in 2015. That damaged youth football. It damaged youth football even into the high school levels for years. And I can say that we've been fighting that stigma for years, and I think it's finally starting to fade away.
I didn't see it, so I can't comment on it.
I didn't watch the movie. I only felt the impact of what it did to youth football. Every parent was so concerned with their kid getting a concussion that they took them out of football. The problem with that is I get the movie, I get the star power, and I understand that CT is a real thing, and I understand that concussions are a real thing. They're not happening to 6 and 7 and 8-year-olds. And those are the kids that got pulled out of the sport as low as 10. No one's getting a concussion at that age, not at an alarming rate. They're not moving fast enough. They don't even know how to hit hard enough to cause that concussion. At that age, and I hope nobody gets mad at me, but at that age, soccer gets more concussions than football. Water polo has more concussions than football, but there's no violence involved in the sport and how it's seen and viewed. So then no one's asking about the concussion rate of those sports. But if you do the research, you'll learn, oh, wow. Do you mean there's more concussions because of headers than there is because of tackles? Yeah, there is. But they just don't, again, they don't understand the violence of football. They think that that's where the concussion is coming from. It's not. It's a fluke thing, the wrong type of tackle, the wrong impact, a freak accident. And it does happen, and there's a concussion protocol. You can't just come back out there and play. That makes it safe. We have a protocol, the return to play. You have to see a doctor, and there's phases. And anytime you hesitate in a phase, you go back a phase back. Like you can't progress until you progress. A kid who gets injured today is not playing football for 2 more weeks. You know, and in the past, that wasn't the thing. It was kind of like, oh, I'm good, coach. Or, oh, my son's okay, put him back out there, coach.
Yeah.
We have medics at every game. That changed.
Okay.
AB1 came out a while back and changed some stuff with youth football. And there is a licensed, certified, official paramedic at every youth tackle football game in our league. That didn't always exist. At high school games, sometimes you'll see the ambulance there waiting just in case. But at our games, hopefully we never see an ambulance. We do. It's the sport. But we have medics at every sport, at every game. So that keeps it safe as well. Yeah,
I mean, it sounds like you guys are prepared for it.
We are. And that's what we manage as a league. Like every field has a medic, right? That's one of the things like that we take care of.
So you talked about a little bit trying to recruit kids because the stigma. What's helped you maintain these kids?
I think camaraderie from the kids is probably the number one thing, right? So what we do league-wide across almost all of our cities is they run off-season camps. So usually no contact. You're just tennis shoes or cleats, shirt, T-shirt. There's sometimes you don't even have a football out there. There's just cones, and the kids are having fun. And once you build that camaraderie through workouts, the next phase is, okay, well, let's talk about position skills, right? This is how you run a route. This is how you get in three-point stance. This is how you do things. And as they're learning that, they're falling in love with the sport. They're falling in love with their friends. They're falling in love with their coach. So by the time you say, okay, here's a ball and here's a little contact, they're not wanting to walk away from that. It's just part of the progression. Like they're there, right? And the parents are now concerned about the safety. But once they see that those kids that are on the field are the same height, the same weight, like you're not going to hurt yourself. Like it's just, you're not going to get hurt just because it's football. And once a parent understands that, then the kids get involved, feeling like they have the parents' permission and the parents' support. They fall in love with the game. And you don't have to do anything to bring them back. They don't want to stop.
Yeah.
And I can say that about, I would say, the high 90th percentile of every kid that I've seen step on the football field. They don't want to stop coming. And sometimes it's the parents that take them away for one reason or another, you know, the politics. They don't like this coach. You're not playing enough on this guy's team. Whatever the reasons are, if you take them out of the sport, they have behavior problems now. No, I'm serious. I've watched this. And then when you get them back into the sport, problem solved.
Yeah, I've seen football practices from afar. You know, I'm on the field sometimes the same. And there's so much discipline
Yes.
and like I'm just impressed. You know, soccer
Yes.
practices are a walk in the park compared to football
Yeah.
practices.
I think it's the same with a lot of other sports. And again, I'm not bashing on any sports. I played a lot of sports growing up. Football is the best one to take skills away for life, right? Because it's a team sport, but it's based off of some individual efforts. If you fail at your spot, whatever your assignment is, corner, safety, defensive end, whatever, if you don't do your job, it's clearly evident, right? And like not just on film, but in watching the game play out. And if that happens too many times, someone's going to score on us there. Like you're going to let the team down. We're going to lose based off of that lack of individual effort. But then again, regardless of how much individual effort you put, if the rest of the team ain't following suit, it doesn't matter. Tell me another sport like that. Because in basketball, I can go out there and kick everybody's ass one-on-one. I can literally, I just need to pick here or there, get me the ball, and I can dominate. You can't do it in football. The quarterback needs a line. He needs someone to throw it to. He needs blockers. I mean, you need a lot. And even you got talent without a coach. It ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
You got coach with no talent. It's not going to happen. So football brings all those elements together, in my opinion. And it teaches stuff for like structure, discipline, camaraderie. I need to be held accountable to myself and someone else so that even if I don't play football at the next level, those skills, those traits are not leaving. I've had kids failing in school before they get to us. They're great in school now. I've had kids bad behavior before they get to us. They listen to mommy and daddy and teachers now. And that's part of the teach, too. As you're a coach, I'm sure at some point in time you sit there and you tell your kids, hey, listen to your parents at home. School's more important than this. If you're falling behind, make sure you bring your homework. And if you don't, what are you coaching for? Because there's transitional coaching and transactional coaching, right? And so we're big on transitional coaching. We're trying to change lives. And I can say that as part of the board and from the league's perspective, that's how we do our job. We're trying to help facilitate that transition into, these guys should be, what do you call them, like contributing members of society at some point in time, right? We're trying to help with that.
You're thinking long term.
We're definitely thinking long term. We're not naive thinking that some of these kids are going pro or that there's a recruiter up in the stands looking for these kids. We do know that some of them have that passion, that drive. If they can match it all up, they'll go to the next level, whether that's high school, D1, D2, the pros, who knows? But at the end of the day, there's a lot of kids that we've impacted as coaches, regardless of the sport. And you see their attitude and you see how they are productively, right? And you know that you had something to do with that as a coach. And to be honest, we're almost like another parent.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes we're just the extension. Single parent households need us. And even when there's two parents in that household, they still need us because maybe they can't provide what we can as coaches. We're just another set of eyes, another set of listening, another set of, well, maybe mom and dad aren't wrong. Maybe you got to listen to it like this, Bobby. And have you ever thought maybe your mom has your best interest? I know for a fact my kids don't listen to me all the time. Clearly they don't. But my best moments is when we're having a conversation with someone else and there's another adult that says exactly the same thing that I did. And then I look at my kid and I'll be like, it's not me. I happen to have been right.
Yeah, and coaching is teaching, it's parenting, it's so much.
There is.
If you do it right.
If you do it right.
Yeah.
If you do it right. And yeah, we're trying to do it right.
I feel like, I don't know, I just haven't run into that many transactional coaches, as you call them. Do you still see them around?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah?
So for those of you who don't know the difference between transitional and transactional coach, if a coach knows his win-loss record for like his whole career, he's probably more...
Interesting.
Yeah. Think about it. Now, I don't know you. I just met you today. How long have you been coaching?
6 years.
6 years? What's your win-loss record for the 6 years?
I know I'm above 500. That's all I care about.
All right.
No, I don't know.
More transitional than transactional.
Yeah.
If you were transactional, you would know your win-loss record. You would know how many championships you've won. you would probably even recall certain moments of the game, even though you could do that as a transitional coach. But a transactional coach is there for themselves. They're there for the transaction of, I want you to play for me. I want you to win for me. I want you to help me get more kids on the team. I want you to help me look good. It's like Al Bundy on a football. Imagine Al Bundy coaching. Al Bundy would be a transactional coach because he lives in that moment, right? I was talking about his moment at the school. And now he's going to try to live that moment out through these kids. That's transactional. Transitional is, I'm only here for you. And I'm going to help you get wherever it is you're trying to go. Do I get a reward out of it? Yeah, it's fulfilling. It's great. You know, everyone has their own reasons, but for me, I know mine, and this is filling up my cup. As long as it's successful, right? If I fail at it and you turn it to a butthole, I'm going to be like, well, that didn't work. But assuming it works, assuming all the kids come out here and they all listen to what it is we're preaching, teaching, and yeah, we'll get some wins along the way, maybe even some championships. But if we fall short of those, my job didn't fail. If 6, 7 years after I've coached you, you're still friends with the kids I introduced you to. And somewhere around there, you did win something and it motivated you to reach another plateau. And if that happened, then I didn't fail. I didn't count how many wins or losses we had while you were with me because it's irrelevant. I won a championship with a group of kids in 2017 in Division II. Okay, that's a less, I wouldn't say less competitive, but a slightly less skill level in our league. We have National Conference and then we have American Conference. Okay, Division I, Division II. And so in American Conference, Division II, everything's the same. It's football. It's the same rules, and you play for a championship, but it's at the Division II level. We won a championship in 2017 at that level. In 2018, I said, well, can we go into the other division? And they were like, well, why would you do that? It's like, it's because we already won in this one.
Right.
And like, yeah, but now you're in a different age group and like things change. I was like, wouldn't matter. Like, why would I want to just continue winning in American? Like, put us in the other one. And now it's different. I'm telling you, it's different. Yeah. But as a coach, and we stayed that way forever. I coached these kids from 6 to 13 and some of them 14 years old. And we stayed in the Division I or National Conference after we won once in American, because why do we need to be in a lesser division to win, as opposed to just competing with the best and taking our licks and adversity? Just, my kids didn't have no less fun. Like they didn't show up any game thinking we're in Division I and we're going to lose here. And no, they signed up next year. We did it again. We did it again. We came close. 2 seasons, we came 1 game away from the finals. We made it to the playoffs every single year. So, like, at the end of the day, I think I did my kids a service by saying, all right, we already won that. Now we're going to play the tough guys. And we never won again. But they all still play football. They all still talk to each other. They still hang out. They still play games.
Are any of them in, like, local high schools?
Yeah. Some of them, they all went different places.
Right.
So, like, they didn't all go to one, but some of them are together. So my son went to one school based on the program. Another kid he was highly recruited to go to a private school. A bunch of our kids stayed local, and some of them went over the hill, but they're all playing right now. So that's awesome to watch.
Yeah, it's fun to take a team for that long and to see them develop.
Yeah, yep.
So, quick question.
Yes, sir.
What does all this cost? You know, club soccer is expensive. Is it like club soccer?
I don't think it's as bad as club soccer, because what I'm familiar with club is the seasons are a little bit longer. So you might be moved from season to season as part of the club. Here, we have 1 season of tackle. It happens in the fall. And so all of our chapters, so the actual individual cities or the teams that play in our league, they run registration. And it ranges from anywhere in the mid $300 range all the way up to like the $700 range. The difference between the teams or the clubs is what they give you for that money. Right. What we provide as the league is the same, the experience, right? It's how many weeks of games in football as you get, refs, medics, the venues, et cetera. So I happen to be the president of the Camarillo Stingers. That's my local team. This year we charge $490 for football as early registration, and then $590 if you don't take advantage of the savings. So it's going to be around $600. That's not enough money to put that kid on the field.
Right.
Yeah. And as I say that, people were like, how come it's so much?
But for the team, that include like pads, that include
So your parent would pay
uniform.
the registration, and they get a helmet for us. And I say that because some of the teams, you got to come with your own helmet, or you got to come with your own girdle, or you got to come with your own pants. So what we provide at Camarillo, and this is a lot of the other chapters in the league do the same. Your registration will get you some practice attire, and then we'll get you everything you need for game day. And you'll keep the uniform, but you'll give back the helmet, the shoulder pads, the knee pads, the belt, things like that. You'll keep a full uniform. We'll customize the jersey, your name, your number. You'll take that home. We keep the pants because it keeps our costs down. Plus, what are you going to do with them? Right? Like they're football pants. And that cost, that right there covers their whole season. So some other clubs might be like, well, that will get you your equipment, but now you got to chip in for refs every week, or you got to chip in for the field every week, or there's other things. So for us, we manage that. We fundraise to offset all those other costs because the registration is not enough.
Yeah.
What does it cost? It's $150,000 at a bare minimum to run the league, to run a chapter for one tackle football season. It's about $150,000. In 2024, it was $147,600 and some change.
Wow.
For one season of football. And that encompassed about 200 football players and 46 cheerleaders, so about 250 athletes. Cost us $150,000 to run a season. And if you divide that by registration, you'll notice we're short. Yeah. Right? I just said it. So back then we were charging $450 for registration. So let's do the math. If we were charging, all right, calculator. So if it cost us $150,000 to run football and we were only charging families $450, we should have had 333 registrations. We didn't. We only had 250 registrations. So 250 registrations times $450 is $112,000, and it costs us $150,000 to run the season. So, we got to make up that deficit of $28,000 every year. Yeah.
Wow. So you fundraise.
So we fundraise.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's why we fundraise. And I want you to edit this and send me a clip so I can send it to my families in Camarillo because they want to know why we fundraise after we charge for registration. Because there's not enough money. It's expensive. Everything costs money. There's insurance. And mind you, our fees don't go up. Like there's no profit. So it's not like we want to make more money. We need to keep our profit margin the same. There's no profit. But it costs more money for us to get on the football field. The refs used to charge $50 a game. It's $90 a game per ref, per game, all day long. I already talked about the fields costing more. Medics were not a requirement prior to 2021. Now it's $150 a game. And we play 6 games in one day sometimes at a stadium. So when you add it up, there's a deficit,
quickly,
and we're trying to, we're always trying to fill that gap. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's expensive.
Yep, it is. It is. But I think a lot of sports are, and at the end of the day, I think it's worth it. Right? An individual family is going to pay $500, $600 for the year, and in our league, they're going to play 11 weeks of football, and hopefully that last week is a championship game. And if it's not, it's all right, because everything that happened during those 11 weeks should have made it worth it. The character, the discipline, the adversity, the fun. There's some wins along the way. And even for those teams, sometimes, man, people don't win a game all year long. I'm sure it happens in your sport too. I was like, man, these kids didn't win at all. And when those kids come back next year to play again, that's when you know you're doing something right. You didn't win a single game, Bob. Why are you back? It's easy to come back as a champ.
Yeah.
You're like signing up the next day. Like, are we doing this again? Y'all lost every game and you want to play again? Great job, coach. Great job, program. And if that's
you keep those players.
Yeah. If they came back and you didn't win no games, you did a good job. You did a good job.
Yeah. Special kids too.
Yeah, special kids too. They got some fight in them. They're
can't
not
teach
quitters.
that.
Yeah, you got to teach that all year long. You didn't teach that after this season and we're like, oh, guys, let's see what happened. We're 0-8. No, you realize that every game where we were deficient, and yet you teach those kids that didn't matter, right? We're going to get better next week. We're going to get better next week. Let's come back out here. Let's go back to practice again and again and again. And at the end of the year, it'd be like, well, I didn't lie to you, right? Don't you feel stronger? Don't you feel better? Aren't you ready for next season? And when they're pumped up and amped up just to come back out there to play again, that's what it's really, really about. Yeah.
I noticed in your on your website it says you're a weighted league versus an unweighted league.
Yes, sir.
And I had to read into that. It's literally your weight.
Yeah. So our divisions are we have 6 different divisions for age groups, and in that age group, we break them. We make sure that they're safe by not just age but by weight also. Now, there's no weight limits in the NFL, right? If you're in the NFL, you're in the NFL. If you're in college, you're in college. If you're in high school, you're in high school. There's no limits. If you're on the team, you're on the team. You know what you signed up for. But our job in youth football is to make sure you get there. Simple as that. So there's no limits, and we don't care about the collision, the mass, the force happening. You're 8 and you're 8. It's okay that you're 95 pounds and he's 50 pounds. You're 8. That's not okay. And we took an approach early on to say that we won't allow those types of things, that we won't allow a league where the biggest kid on the team is the one running the ball and just punishing all the other little kids. Okay, that kid is having fun running everyone over, and that coach feels like a stud because his win-loss record is going up, right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, if that kid's that much bigger than everyone, he'll probably never be a running back anyways. He's probably a lineman or a different position. And even if he is going to catch up to his age or size and he might be a running back later, it's not fair right now and it's not safe right now. And so we designed a league that takes that into account. There's basically 3 ages allowed in everything. We have a Mighty Might, Bantam, freshman, sophomore, juniors, and then our senior division. Across the middle of there, so we have like the youngest age available, the ideal age, and what we call our play down, or the oldest age available. In the oldest age available, he needs to be the smallest kid on the field.
Yeah.
You're older than everyone. You're mentally and physically more mature, even though you're small, but your muscles act different, your hormones are different, your aggression level is different. So since you're the oldest kid on the field, you have to be the smallest if you're playing with kids that are smaller or younger than you. If this is your actual age group, then there's really no severe limits until you get to be too big. You need to be what's called an X player. Okay, like if we're the same age, but you weigh 60 pounds more than me, I shouldn't be forced to tackle you. So you'll have to put an X on your helmet that says you can't carry the ball. You can only be a lineman.
Interesting.
It's safe because now you're still on the same field as me, but because you've been restricted to the line of scrimmage, how much force you can build up before you get to me, the smaller guy, has been limited. And that's what we're worried about. We're worried about the collision. We're not worried about, again, because you're going to have another guy who's physically more developed because he's 14. He's on the same field as a 12-year-old who's not as physically developed. But the 12-year-old will outweigh this guy by 40 pounds. You understand? But now his mass and stuff is moving at such a different rate of speed than the 14-year-olds, but it's equaled out or balanced out because the 14-year-old weighs more. But now if this kid weighed more and he was faster and he was running at this lighter, less physically matured 12-year-old, that would be devastating. And so we've capped that in our structure.
So is that unique to your league? Is that
where we set the limits is unique. The structure is not unique. There are other weighted leagues. There are tons of non-weighted leagues that just basically a non-weighted league is, hey, if I'm 9 years old, I play with all the kids that are 9. Don't care what they weigh. Okay. We say that if you get over a certain weight, we have to limit your position because everyone else is too small for you to be running the ball or for them to have to tackle you. The exception to that rule is if you don't like that, go play with the kids that are your same size. Now, those kids are older than me. Wasn't that the same position you were in when you were trying to play with kids younger than you? So if you're big and you want to still carry the ball and everything, you just got to go play with the kids that where everyone is that size. And we allow that also. You can play up. What you can't do is play with a bunch of kids smaller than you and you be the bigger guy running around the ball all the time. It's just not safe. How does it compare nationally? We're a conservatively weighted league on purpose. And what I mean is there was, for the longest time, there was another league around ours. I won't say any names. Locally. So some of our teams could have been in our league or they could have been in another league. And the dividing line of what league you were going to be in was based on weights. They had similar divisions. They might have been called a different name, but it was for 6-year-olds and for 7-year-olds and for 8-year-olds. But the weight difference in there was the difference. And specifically to the area that we play in and the mindset of parents worrying about if tackle football is safe, one way you can control that as a parent is make sure there's a limit to the weight of the kids that my son is playing against. Like, let him play against kids his own weight, and anyone heavier has to play somewhere else. And that's all it really is. I think that was the best way for me to explain it. You play with kids your weight, and if you want to play with someone bigger than you, then go ahead. But parents want to make sure that their kid doesn't have that big kid on their team, so that's how we set up our ages and weights. We keep kids that are running the ball conservatively weighted so that they're not bullying everybody else.
That's for the future.
Yeah, because, hey, once you get into the pros, there's a lot. Hey, Jerome Bennis, he would have been an ex-player in youth football, but he was a running back in the pros and killing them, right?
Who's the running back for Baltimore? Derrick Henry.
Yeah, Derrick Henry. Yeah, he was with the Titans for the longest. Nobody wants to get in front of Derrick Henry. But let's let the kids get there, right?
Yeah.
Now they're earning hundreds and thousands and millions of dollars. If you want the paycheck, you got to get in front of Derrick Henry. In youth football, we would like to make sure that the kid has the option and the ability to still make it to high school and play football first, and then decide if he wants to get in front of a moving truck. And so, yeah, like I believe in my passion that the way we have our league set up as far as ages and weights are concerned is for the safety of kids. And any time that a coach says, oh, these weights are too low. Why do you think they're too low, coach? Explain. Well, because my kids are having to cut weight to make the team. Maybe they should be on the other team.
Yeah, just move.
Oh, then that's going to break up my team. But the kid would be on the correct team. And so now we're talking about transitional versus transactional. You want to keep a kid on your team so bad that you'll make him cut weight. That's not safe. It's not healthy. It's not the right way to do things. And so you don't change your weights as a league to accommodate a bad trend. You stay firm in your beliefs. It's all based off of data, by the way. And then you just continue to do your job. Sometimes it's not easy, right? Yeah. But that's the way we set up. And when I say it's confirmed by data, what we've done, worked with this one guy. He's a local guy. He's a football coach. His name is Michael Tremello out of Newberry Park. I don't call a lot of people geniuses, but Mike is pretty intelligent. And he did a lot of work. I think it might have been for Boston College. I'm trying to remember. He did some work for a university where basically this guy's physical composition knowledge is ridiculous. Like if you tell him what you currently weigh and body fat and this and that and what you want to do, he can tell you what to eat, how to walk, what to do to get there. And he was able to help us with a study that basically said, like what I was explaining earlier, if you take 11-year-old kid versus a 13-year-old kid in puberty and 150 pounds, what does that mass look like? This kid's moving faster. Okay. Yes, they're both 150, but this kid is 12 and this kid is 13. This kid is moving faster. it's not safe. And so we're able to move the scale around to then see like where the mass was equal. And that's how we adjusted our ages and weights.
Interesting.
So if you were to take names and ages and all of that off of all of these divisions and just weight bags and move them all around the field, they'd have equal mass. They would just be doing this. You would not see anyone get blew up.
So it's like a mathematical equation.
It is. And explaining that to people is difficult when you're trying to, combat why they want to change a rule. You want to change a rule to keep kids on a certain team, or if we're trying to avoid cutting weight, shouldn't we increase the weights? No, if we're trying to avoid cutting weight, you should let the kid play on the team that he belongs on. How do we know that that's the team he's belonged on? Because of what I just explained. And if you can explain it differently to where it makes sense that the weight should be increased, then we would, but we haven't gotten there.
It's really interesting.
Yeah. And so when you ask me how my job is, when you do the job right, it takes stuff like that to like stay passionate or committed to like your mission. Like, well, this is why we do what we do. And until the science changes, why would we change, right? Like it is you're fighting against coaches, you're fighting against parents, you're fighting against.
Is it all laid out for the parents to see and sort of understand that it is a mathematical equation?
Parents don't fight it as much as coaches.
Yeah.
Parents know how much their kid weighs and they're trying to put them on the correct team. Coaches then manipulate that to build a team, and then now the weights become an issue. Do parents know how much work we've gone to put those limits? I doubt it. Because if they did, they wouldn't let the coach allow their kid to cut weight to be on a team.
Yeah, cutting weight at 12 isn't the answer.
Cutting weight at any weight at any age in order to make a team, and you're not a professional over the age of 18, is not safe. Yeah. Cutting weight because you have a health issue, do it. Cutting weight because you're a professional and you want to make a different fight class and you're getting paid, do it. Cutting weight as a minor because a coach has told you need to lose weight to be on a team, shame on the coach. And if the parent's aware of it, shame on the parent.
So you coached, or you still coach. What are some highlights, from your experience?
Oh man. I still coach. I did take a couple years off of coaching my team. They all went to high school. And now me and my coaching crew are starting over again with another group of 6-year-olds. That should be exciting. I think one of the highlights I would have to say winning a championship in 2017, like watching kids win a championship and then celebrate like they would just won a whole Super Bowl is like really, really exciting. I remember pictures and stuff from that moment. I can't say I have an individual highlight, but I've had moments that make me appreciate what I do.
Yeah, what's that?
It takes a lot, right? Like the hours of the day. We volunteer, and I have a real job, and I have my own kids. And at one point in time, I was pretty much ready to stop coaching, right? I was like, I had enough. I want to see my kid play. I want to sit in the stands. And a parent of a kid that I had coached before came to me and was like, oh, what's going on? We're just talking. And I let, oh yeah, I'm not going to coach anymore. And she said, I thought I heard that. And she just basically had I don't know if she had a rehearsed speech, but she laid into me, bro. She was just like, you know what? She said she understood that I wanted to sit in the stands and watch my son because I had coached her kid. But she told me that had I not coached her son, that she didn't know what her son would be like today. And he was still little. He was, he wasn't done with grade school yet. But she said that I changed her son, that I impacted her son, that her son only loves football because of me. And that if I didn't coach anymore, then it wasn't going to affect her son because I wasn't even coaching him anymore anyways, but that she knew I would not have that effect on other kids. And it hit me a little bit, right? Like a little teary-eyed and whatnot, because I remember coaching kids years ago before I even had any kids. When this league started in 2005, by coincidence, a coworker was coaching a team, the Oxnard Knights, and he came to me and he said, hey, my buddy is the president of the Oxnard Knights. It's this new football team for this new league called Gold Coast, and I'm going to coach a team. My son's going to play, blah, blah, blah. You want to come and help me? I was not married. I had a girlfriend. I wasn't married. I had no kids, but I love football. And he said, shit, we go now? Like, I'm like, when does this start? So anyways, I wind up coaching, assistant coaching with him. This is in '05. And I didn't know that 20 years later, I would be on the board and now I'm the president. But my passion for football then was like, I'm in, let's go, let's go, let's go. So fast forward all these years later, it really hasn't changed. So in that moment where I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to stop coaching. And this parent is like, no, you can't do that. And I'm like, okay. And I thought back to 2005. There was a kid I coached. His name was Jordan Nunnery, right? He'll probably see this and laugh and smile and understand. Last year, when my son was practicing at the high school, he's on the high school football team and he's at practice, not just last year, the year before too, but when he was there doing that, and I noticed that Jordan Nunnery was now coaching my son on a football field.
Wow. Full circle.
Mean, that probably could be a highlight, right? So moments like that, and I didn't have the opportunity to really throw myself into youth sports when I was younger. And I faced some challenges because of that. And I know for a fact that if I was playing football, instead of doing what I was doing, I wouldn't have went through those challenges. And so part of my mission personally is if I make sure that kids have these type of opportunities, I know that some of them won't run into some of the pitfalls that I ran into when I was younger. Yeah.
What's one thing you wish everyone knew about football, either, at the youth level or at the next level?
If one thing I wish everyone knew about football, man, it's the greatest team sport on the planet. I know I'm biased, but I just really feel that it is. I would like to tell younger families, younger parents, football is nowhere near as dangerous as you really think it is. It's a violent sport, but there's so many other sports where more injuries happen just in the happenstance. I want to get off subject, but my kids were juniors, like the second to last year. No, it was our senior year. Our senior year, all my kids were hurt, and it wasn't even from football. Man, all my kids got hurt, and it wasn't even from football. Before our season started, every kid was hurt, and it was from something at school, something at practice while horse playing, but nothing was a football injury. It was crazy. But I would let people know football's not as dangerous as you think. It is violent. It is aggressive, but it's a game. It's a sport. And at the end of the day, what people, especially young adults, learn from that sport, it will ground them in life in so many ways. Like football is phenomenal. And I think proof of that is the fact that we're going to witness it in the Olympics for the first time this year, right? Yeah, it's going to be flag, and not this year, but the next Olympics. It's going to be flag, but it's football. And that's huge. An Olympic sport, flag football, who would have thought? So, yeah, football's great.
I expect the USA to clean up. No?
All right. Now, listen. So, are you familiar with USA Football, like the organization?
Nah.
All right. So, USA Football is a national governing body for football. There's probably USA Soccer, right? You got to be a member and all that stuff to be sanctioned. Got to be USA Football is the national governing body for football. For years, there's already been national teams. If you weren't interested, you don't know, right? So there's been tackle national teams like United States against Russia, tackle football, boom.
Really?
United States against Mexico, tackle football, tournaments, brackets, regional teams, national teams, and championships. They just don't get the exposure to make it to our TVs. The Olympics, bringing flag, that's been worked on for years. USA Football has been holding talent ID camps. So it's basically flag football, sanctioned by USA Football, regional tournaments, et cetera, and talent ID camps where they've been scouting talent to build their national team for years. We've already been playing against Mexico. We've already been playing against Canada. We've already been playing against other countries. People just didn't know. So will America clean up? We did win the last flag national games, but now that it's an Olympic sport, people are going to be coming out of the woodworks. Let's think about how basketball is. some of our best NBA players are not from our country, so they go back and they play for their home country. So if you search the world for football players, and I know that tackle football, NFL football, collegiate football, like that's what we all know and love, flag's different. Flag is almost like the Harlem Globetrotters. You know, flag is about trick plays and stuff and being quick and hicking and dipping, and that's not tackle.
Okay.
So is Patrick Mahomes one of the best quarterbacks around? Yeah. But can he get out there on that flag field and do what some of the flag athletes have been doing for years already? So I'm with that argument that, oh man, our national team is going to be crazy. It's going to be like the dream team was for basketball. But flag has already been at a national level for over a decade now. And so some of these other teams, if we just flip and throw our NFL stars on it, I don't know. I just don't. I know we're good. I know our team is good. I know these guys are good, but I don't know if we can do that. We might want to stick to what we already have on the flag scene, to be honest.
You think the NFL guys will want to play? Or
I think they would want to. They want to win, represent for the country, the same way basketball. Yeah. I think they would want to. I just don't even know. I'm curious myself.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like when they left Caitlin Clark off the women's national team.
Yeah.
It's like she's the most popular person, and you're going to keep her off the team. So it'd be tough to deny Patrick Mahomes.
And these receivers running everything. But it's a different game, you know. And if I'm correct, the Olympic model is 5-man flag. So you've got the center snapping the ball and is now eligible for passes. Okay. So are you going to put a center out there? No. You know what I'm saying? So you got to think about the game and how it's going to be played, and then
totally different.
Yeah. Like some of our corners, now corners might work, right? So some of our best corners can probably still be the best defensive players out there. But some of our receivers, unless they're like those, dippy, shaky guys, maybe just give everybody a flag and let them get up to speed, and then we'll pick our team. Be awesome. Yeah. I'm excited to watch, though.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else you want to leave us with? I mean, it's been really fun for me.
No, it's been great. I appreciate the opportunity. No, I think that's it. Oh, yeah. So something I didn't even mention, I don't know if you know, but we play, so our league is the deal, right? We manage football from Santa Barbara all the way over to Santa Clarita. So all the way down the 101, across the 118, 126, all the way over to the 405 freeway. And every single year since 2021, we've been playing our championship games at SoFi Stadium.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And most people don't even know that. And to me, it's weird, right? Like, but let me go back up and tell you again about transitional versus transactional. We've never made a big deal about getting media out there and showcase what it is we're doing for these kids. But we make a big deal about getting these kids on that field. And whether they win or lose, when they go and play a championship game at SoFi Stadium, these kids, their life is like, some of these kids might never play football again, but I guarantee you they remember that day. Oh, yeah. They remember that.
Not a lot of players get to be on the field.
No. And so, like, funny part is we played on that field as a championship game before the Super Bowl was actually played there. So before the Rams even played in the championship, like, we played our championship games there. And we've been going back every year since 21. So it's exciting, and we think that is something that we're proud of as a league. It takes a lot of work.
How did you get that connection?
At the end of the day, I'll just really say, like, grace and favor, right? Like God. Basically, someone reached out to me from, it's called Legends Hospitality, okay? So someone reached out. They manage the stadium when there's no football, if that makes sense. Yeah. And she was like, hey, we want to talk to you guys about fundraisers. And basically what it was that they do is, like, they sell you some tickets to a Rams game and you upsell them and you keep the difference. Or if you get enough tickets, then we'll put you on the field for preseason, before the game, or at halftime for 2 or 3 minutes. Like, we've done all those things also in our league. But for whatever reason, when she invited me down to talk about a fundraiser, I just wasn't feeling it. Like, I don't like, oh, we got to sell tickets. We got to do these things because it's a lot of obligation. We just really want to let the kids play football. And as we walked around and we started talking about things that were an option, I honestly just asked. I said, well, like, currently we use a football, high school to play our championship games. We are there from 8 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock at night, blah, 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 blah. What would it take to do that here? And she said, well, it's like $6,000 an hour. I was like doing the math, and I was like, I think we can make that work, if you think about it. And so I went back to the board, and I was just like, hey, guys, I got this idea. And some people were receptive, and some people were like, nope. I was like, no, listen, let me break it down. And then once I broke it down, everyone got it. But now that's our board leadership. Then we got to bring in the General Assembly, all the teams, and pitch it to them. Like, hey, you guys were thinking about doing this, but it's not free. High school stadium, maybe $1,000 for the day, $1,500. SoFi, $100,000. Well, how are we going to pay for that? Well, listen, everyone who walks through the door needs a ticket. So they sell them to us at, I think it was $20 a pop. So if you just do the math, all you got to do is go back and sell the tickets $20 a pop, and boom, boom, boom. I said, in fact, we can even sell them for $22 to help us get to that number quicker. And every chapter can keep the $2 and just give us back the $20. Get there, everybody get their money back. What if we don't sell enough tickets? I doubt that's going to happen because we got 12 teams that qualify. Everyone wants to play. They're going to have to buy a $20 ticket. Like, what don't you understand? In my head, it was clear, and then, people were resisting back and forth. So we set up a Zoom call. All of us are in the room, and I got the guy on a speaker call, on a conference call. And he's explaining, the guy from SoFi, he's explaining, look, we've done this in other places. Not at the scale that you're talking about, but it's all the same. If everybody comes in with a ticket, it costs this much, there's some residuals, you guys keep the money. You can even sell the tickets for $30 if you want and keep everything in there. And their concern was, what if we don't sell enough tickets? So we let everyone leave, and the board, sat there and thought about it for a moment. And ultimately, we had to just what we call pivot. Send out a notice. The Super Bowl's been moved over to SoFi. And if your team that qualified doesn't want to sell tickets and go play, that's fine. Just let us know as soon as possible so we can get the next team up. No one refused to play. No one refused to participate, but we didn't want to put the chapters in a position for them to put the money up because that's what they were resisting. As God would have it, there was an individual that trusted me and believed in what we were trying to do. So he gave me $65,000 to pay the deposit. And he told me when he gave me the money, he said, I want it back. But if I don't get it back, I'm going to write it off as a loss that I donated to the charity. And I was like, I want you to get it back. So sure enough, man, it was crazy. Took his money, had to deposit it, and then wire it to SoFi. Went and met the lady, Casey. Hey, Casey. Went and met Casey, got the tickets from like Ticketmaster ticket stubs. And then I'm driving around with a spreadsheet and a money bag in my phone and a calculator, and I'm in this city dropping off tickets, and I'm in this city dropping off tickets. And now I've got all this money, and we sold so many tickets that I had to give her all the money and get more tickets. And then when we got there for the event, we sold out of tickets again. And then we were down to our last 2 games of the night, and we were cleaning up. And the guy from one of the last games came out and said, some of our families have just left Santa Clarita, so we need more tickets. We sold so many tickets that we wind up raising like $12,000 in commissions or profit to share with all the chapters. And since then, it's been a no-brainer. We've just been doing it the same every year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Glad that worked out.
It worked out.
Because it could have, gone a different way.
It could have gone a different way. But at the end of the day, it's simple math. I'm a numbers guy, so I knew it would work out. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on all
Thank
the
you, sir.
success.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming on the podcast.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.